Hi everyone, this is Joe in General, your resident reason and evidence enthusiast. It is your weekly Bitcoin price analysis update. It is Wednesday the 10th of May 2017. I'm going to keep this video as short and sharp as possible, try and keep it a little bit more concise so it's a bit more manageable for you guys to watch. I was going to do an analysis of a coin called Bitcoin in this video, but I will do it as a separate upload very soon. So make sure you check out my channel for that one. But if you will indulge me, at the end of this analysis, I will be doing a quick mailbox section where I had a question from a subscriber, and I'll do my best to answer that question. But straight on to the Bitcoin price. This is where we were last week. This is the May 3rd analysis, and we asked the question, what's after 1485? We're coming up to the very top end of this longer term trend channel, and where are we going to break through and see new highs, and was this line here eventually going to become support just like this level has been for a very long time, or were we going to continue to trade within this range? And we're talking about the various prices where that could go. Please check out that previous video if you want to find out what I was talking about. But the main thing we were talking about, if we were going higher, we were looking at the exponential Fibonacci calculation of this high of 1350 and this low of 891. And the very key level was this 1.618 level of 1745. Now, let's see where we went to this week and where we are right now. Well, lo and behold, look, we have broken through the 1485 level. We actually came all the way up to 1760 and 40 cents. Now, on the way up to there, let's punch into the 12-hour time frame. On the way up, we had a short-term high of 1623. We came back to a low, just breaking through very barely that longer-term, upper end of the longer-term trend channel. We had a low of 1445. Now, interestingly, when you do a Fibonacci calculation from this high of 1623 and this low of 1445, lo and behold, I like that saying, don't I? The 1.618 level wasn't 1745, it was 1744. So how freaky is that? A 1.618 level of almost exactly the same number on two different high and low Fibonacci calculations. So you definitely knew that this was a key level or around about this area. You know, you could call it 1750, but we did hit 1760, and that's very much close enough for jazz. So now the question is, if we punch out here onto the 3-day time frame, definitely see that this longer term trend channel has been broken through to the upside. I think now, quite likely, we may see a little bit of a test below, but it looks like this upper end of the trend channel is now going to become the support, very likely. I will keep this line here just for a little bit until, evidence, tells me otherwise, but very likely not going to see much, I think, not going to see many more days of prices underneath this longer term, upward end of the longer term trend channel. So if we have a retracement, which we absolutely will at some point, where are we going to retrace down to? So let's look at the Fibonacci calculation, again, of 1350 and 891, the high and low. And you've got a 1.236 level of 1489. We can call that 1500 if you like, or around about there. And where does that coincide with the current chart? Well, I actually prepared this earlier. I took all the Fibonacci lines from 1350 up to the 2.618, and I've popped that in on a separate graph here. So it's something I prepared earlier. And so that 1489 level, if we have a look in the 12-hour time frame, 1489 is this level here, the 1.236, and that coincides pretty closely with the upper end of this trend channel. So if we are going to have a retracement, and if we're not going to break through the trend channel, then we'll look very likely we hit around about the 1500 level. Now, however, previous history would indicate that you would realistically, in the past, you would likely see a test of this old high. We certainly did it here. We came up and then we tested this old high. We did it here and tested this old high. We went way below this old high, but we certainly came, we went below it. We certainly have, retracements back to old highs. However, the question is now, will we see a retracement, which we will, but will we see a retracement all the way back down to the old high of 1350? I'm not so sure in this case. We certainly could, but I'm not so sure now, particularly because I think we may have some room to go a little bit higher before we see a large retracement. We'll talk about that in a second. But if we do see a retracement down to 1350, I think it will be very short-lived. It could be, a matter of minutes, a whole heap of buy orders gobbled up here and just bringing a very quick red candle down and then up again. And very likely we're going to sort of hover around the bottom end of this trend channel if we do see a retracement. If we don't break through 1760. Now, if we do break through 1760, where will we go from there? There's a whole bunch of different numbers, but let's talk about Fibonacci very quickly. We've got this 1.764 of 1854, and then you've got this really big one, the 2.618 of 2644. Now, of course, we are talking about US dollars. We're using the bitcoinwisdom.com website and the Bitstamp exchange, so that's in all of that denomination, so US dollars. And if I punch out to max here, you see I've drawn in this 2.618 level of the 2644. Excuse me, let me get rid of that. I haven't drawn in the 1854 level because the 1.764 tends not to be one that has significant resistance. But the other two key levels that we need to think about is the psychological level of 2000. We always have to think about psychology. So that could be a slight resistance point at 2000. But the other big one at the moment is a level of $2,300 US. And that's due to the webbot prediction. If you're not familiar with Clif High and his webbot predictions, I'll just do a quick bit of research on him and his webbots. And it's calling for a high of 2,300 before a significant retracement. Now, it doesn't matter whether you believe in the webbot as an actual phenomenon or whether you don't, because mass psychology comes into play. If enough people believe that 2,300, this webbot prediction, is going to be a significant area, then people are going to act accordingly, and maybe that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you'll get a lot of people putting sell orders here and not down here. So I have no opinion really either way about whether it's a true phenomenon, the webbot thing, and I don't really care because, again, if enough people believe it, it will go to that area. So that's a major price to consider. And I think I might even call the title of this video, something like Next Up $2,300, something like that, because that is a big one to consider if we are going to see some higher prices breaking through 1760 very, very soon. So quickly to recap, potential high of 2,300, the psychological one, not necessarily webbot prediction, but psychological, 2,300. Of course, you've got the psychological of 2,000. And if we are going to retrace, if we retrace very quickly, if we do hit this 2,300 rough level, then more likely to have a retracement back down just to this sort of longer end, upper end of the trend channel, around about your $1,500 mark potentially, rather than breaking down to 1,350. So if we come up here, I don't know if we'll come all the way back down to 1,350, but I definitely think we'll see a test of this higher end of the trend channel, which I'm almost about to start calling the support line, but that remains to be seen. That is it for the analysis, and we'll go on to the mailbox right now. So this is the question I received today from a subscriber. I did reply to them saying I would put this at the end of this Bitcoin analysis video. I did ask them if they would be fine with me mentioning their YouTube name. I didn't get a reply from them in time before I started making the video, so we'll just treat it as an anonymous question. But here's the question in full. Hi, if Bitcoin actually goes sky high, how does one cash out of that kind of money for all Bitcoins held? And would it be crazy to cash out at that amount when Bitcoin could go higher? And the second part of the question is it correct to believe that Bitcoin should not be spent at a convenience store that accepts them, but hold on to them as an investment? The desire to spend Bitcoins is there, but it should be resisted. Or maybe that's, but should it be resisted? Thanks for the advice. Okay, so a few questions in the one larger question there. So let's break it down. So if Bitcoin actually goes sky high, how does one cash out that kind of money for all Bitcoins held? Okay, many different ways. Good question. I guess, if you're owning Bitcoin, the person who sent me the question, how did you get them in the first place? Did you buy them through an exchange? And if so, I'm sure you can sell those Bitcoins on that exchange, sell them for, if you're in the US, for example, sell them for US dollars, and then get them to send it to your American bank account. That's how you would cash out. Another way that you can cash out is by selling privately. You can certainly do that. You could go to a website. If you look down here, there's a website called localbitcoins.com. So that's just basically a private marketplace, and treat it like treat it like eBay as such, where you really want to look at the sellers, buyer and sellers' feedback. Whether they have a lot of negative feedback, what kind of reply time they have, and are they a brand new seller? Do they have any trading feedback, or do they have hundreds and hundreds of good positive feedback? You want to stick with the sellers or the buyers and sellers that do. So there are private individuals who both sell you Bitcoin for a variety of different payment methods and will buy Bitcoin back from you. Again, a variety of different payment methods. Some will do bank account into money into your bank account. Some will even do cash as well, where you meet up with them, at a mutually agreeable location, probably somewhere public, etc., nice and safe during the day or whatever, and they'll exchange cash for your Bitcoin at a mutually agreed price at the time. So there's a couple of different ways. So hopefully that answered that part of the question. Second part is, and would it be crazy to cash out at that amount when Bitcoin could go higher? So this is an interesting question, because part of this paragraph we've got, if Bitcoin actually goes to sky high, but would it be crazy to cash out at that sky high level? Well, yeah, I think you've kind of answered your question. If you think for you it's sky high, then it kind of denotes that it's at a very, very overvalued point. So then, and no one can answer that question for you. I guess that's the main answer. Would it be crazy to cash out at that sky high amount? No, of course not. Would it be crazy to cash out? No way. But when you say cash out, okay, good question. Cash out would infer that you are selling and never buying back in again. But yes, the price could always go higher and higher again, and you never know. So maybe an option would be to cash out of some of your position, and then, to get some cash for whatever you need, and then maybe consider holding on to some Bitcoin in case it does go higher, and then maybe hold on to some of the money that you have gotten back, and then if Bitcoin does go back lower again, then you could buy back in and up your Bitcoin that way. So I hope that answered that part of your question. Next part is it correct to believe that Bitcoin should not be spent at a convenience store that accepts them, but hold on to them as an investment? Again, very hard to answer the question exactly, but it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Bitcoin has been made to be spent. That's why it was originally, created as a digital cryptocurrency, and a currency is something that you use to buy other goods and services. So, not necessarily. I mean, should it not be spent at a convenience store that accepts them? No. I mean, plenty of websites accept Bitcoin now, so why not? But I think your question might be, if the price is going to go higher, should I spend my Bitcoin now, or wait when it's higher and then I can buy more stuff with the Bitcoin than I would have been able to buy previous. Well, yeah, of course, but you can't time the market like we don't have crystal balls, so if there's something that you're eyeing off Amazon or something, anywhere else that accepts Bitcoin and you want it and you don't have sort of regular cash on hand, then yeah, use some of your Bitcoin if you want. But you've got to use that. You've got to use the judgment, your own judgment, that is. Yes, so the desire to spend Bitcoins is there, but it should be resisted. Well, again, that's, I guess, the same question there. Can't answer it for you. It really depends on whether you think Bitcoin at the time that you're looking to buy something is at a sky high level, or if you think it has a lot more potential to go higher. What's the thing that you're buying, how much Bitcoin it is. If you only ever own one Bitcoin and then you're looking at buying something that costs one Bitcoin, then you're technically, I guess, selling out of your entire Bitcoin position. Then you might want to consider it. If it's something that costs, if you own 10 Bitcoin and something costs 0.1 of a Bitcoin, 1/10, then hey, it's like 1/10 of a Bitcoin, so you may as well just buy that thing that you've been looking for. So hope I've done the best I can to answer that question for you. Of course, if anyone else has questions, please send them my way. You can send me a private message through going to the About section of my channel and hitting the send message button, or of course you can just pop on my channel and just comment on any of my videos and I will see them. So please hit that subscribe button. I'm now over 1,000 subscribers as of a few days ago. I've now hit, if I move this just over a little bit, I've now hit 1,090 subscribers in the last few days. Thanks very much. Stay safe, stay informed. Speak soon.